So what is it that I even do? What is a takeover? Well, simply described, it's a stack sale, as they call them now, that I run on Twitter. So I hop on live and I start listing cards one by one with a photo and a price. And the first person to come and say that they want it gets it. And I start building a stack for them. And then they have 2 weeks with which to build that stack and then pay out at that, and I ship out to them. So I go live on Twitter every Monday, sometimes Tuesdays, Wednesday, and Friday. And I also stream on loop on most Thursday evenings, although that can be sometimes not happening as well. So it's something that I started in like 2013, just as a very small thing. I barely knew what I was doing. There was one day where I got off of my shift at a coffee shop and I came home and I started putting cards. It was such a roundabout way that I'm glad I don't do anymore. But there was this website that's now defunct where you could list cards. They're trying to compete with like eBay and some others. You would just list cards for a buy it now price. I think people could make offers on there, but I'd post that and then I would post the link to Twitter and tell people that if they told me they wanted the card on Twitter, I'd give them a discount versus buying it on the website. Now, I probably had like 2 buyers in my first few weeks of doing this, and I remember selling less than $10, and it was like, I feel like any sort of normal person should have been like, this isn't it, next thing. And I had it in my head that I would figure it out, that I'd turn it into something. So I just kept going. In 2017, I was doing it as a part-time job completely to my other job. I was much more serious about it. I had switched to not using that website and only posting them on Twitter. But I was doing weird things like I would take pictures on my laptop camera and I'd be holding the card up. So it'd be like my face and the card, and the picture was kind of blurry and it wasn't that great. That was like from the 2014 to 2017 era. And then in 2018, I left my job at the coffee shop and I went full time with the Takeover. Now all these years later, it's like such a cool community of people. Some people have been there since the very beginning. Some people started last week, and they're all super rad, and they have great conversations, and they're kind to each other, and they purchase stuff for each other within the sales. And I just feel very blessed that it's like become my full-time gig and that I get to do something I love so much, because I love the hunt for that next card, and I love piecing out inventory and communicating with people about a thing that I have passion for and finding cards that I want in my personal collection along the way. But with all that said, there's a lot of other people who run sales, and I love it because it's cool to me to see something that, like, I don't know if I was the first person, because I feel weird saying that, but I was one of the earliest. And now there's like stack sales happening all the time on Twitter, and it like warms my heart seeing it. But I just want people to know that like it's a grind. Don't give up. Like I said, I did maybe $5 to $10 in sales like my first few months of like doing it. Like that's not good. Like that might be an over exaggeration of how low it was, but there was barely anyone watching. And I just kept showing up and showing up and showing up, because the truth of it all is, if you keep showing up, eventually people see that, respect that, are intrigued by the fact that you keep showing up, and then they start showing up. It reminds me of like, I used to be a touring musician. When you played shows, the first time you go to a city, the crowd's not going to be that good. Second time you go to the city, probably still not that great. But the third, fourth, fifth time, if you keep releasing music and you keep showing up, even when they're not showing up, they will eventually show up. Or another example is like driving past a billboard. How many times have you driven past a billboard? You see that off the freeway, and it's not something you need at all. You see it, you think nothing about it. You see it again, you think nothing about it. Again and again, you're not thinking about it at all, but you keep seeing it. Eventually, subconsciously, when it does come time to you needing the service that offers or that product, you're probably going to pull from that billboard. Like, it's not quite the same because that billboard is positioned there, so it is always going to be there. But it's just that kind of same idea of like repetition and showing up and consistency. Like, at the very least, show up for yourself. Like, prove to yourself that you will show up, that you believe that it's going to become something. And honestly, it's super fun to take something from zero and build a community around it. That's something that I really love. Like, and then you can look back and be like, I did that. Like, I showed up when no one else was showing up. And now other people show up for me. And now you've got a community going, and now it's a beautiful thing. And you can reciprocate back to them. They can be supporting your business. You can be supporting them, whether it's helping them find the cards they need, whether it's maybe you listen to what they have to say when they're having a rough day. Maybe it's you end up purchasing something from them, or you just have built a friendship or something like that. Like, we're all humans at the end of the day. But anyways, I can so easily go on a tangent. Consistency is key if you want to do a stack sale. Just keep showing up when they don't show up, and eventually they will. Peace.